Today at County Deer Stalking we're heading to the William Evans gun room in St James to discuss calibres with expert Freddie Nessbitt. Whilst there is a lack of uniformity between legislation in England and Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, and some smaller calibres are permissible for use on Chinese water deer and muntjac, in order to shoot all 6 species of deer throughout the UK, the legal requirements are that the rifle used should produce a minimum of 1,750 foot-pounds of energy and 2,450 feet per second at the muzzle, and be of a calibre no less than 240 inches or 6mm. With shotguns, the choice of bore size is relatively straightforward, with most people choosing either 12 or 20 bore. However, with rifles, the choice is far more diverse. Despite the legislation, there are still a huge variety of different calibres that can be used. Today, we'll aim to give you an overview of some of the more popular calibres, ranging from the 243 all the way up to the 300 Win Mag. I'm here today at William Evans and I have with me calibres expert Freddie Nessbitt. Freddie, it's great to see you again. Thanks for joining us today to talk to us about calibres. Now, calibres are a hotly contested subject and will often depend on the species that you're hunting and also the topography. We've got a selection here in front of us that represent some great entry-level calibres for those that want to take up deer stalking in the UK. We've got the 243 Winchester, the 6.5 by 55 Swedish, and another one which I think is relatively new, which you're going to tell us more about. Sure. Let's start with the 243 Winchester. Freddie, what are your thoughts about this?
The 243, my first round, I believe it's your first round as well.
That's right.
Capable of doing pretty much all lowland stalking, so from fallow down to right down to Chinese water deer. It covers all the lowlands with ease. A lot of people prefer it to on their roebucks because it doesn't do so much meat damage. The other advantage is it's a 308 casing, neck down to 243, 6mm all the way. And it just makes the recoil much less. Its grain weights are from about 58 all the way up to 105.
Very versatile.
Yeah, very versatile.
And I think it started off as a varmint round, didn't it?
It did,
that
yes.
was the intention,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
very much so. What people didn't realise is how much they could push that grain weight on the bullet,
Sure.
and they could get it up heavy, which can take the bigger beast.
And with the Deer Act, they specify that it has to be 240 as the entry level calibre for deer. That's the minimum in the UK, of course, and very much with the 243 Winchester in mind, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people go for it. The police, the firearms officers, they prefer you going for a calibre that is of controlled risk.
Sure.
And the 243 is in that bracket. It's just at the legal limit.
And generating 1,950 foot-pounds.
Yeah.
Quite nice and flat shooting. It's a fast calibre. I think a drop, if I recall, something like 3.5 inches at 200 yards with 100 yard zero, using perhaps 100 grain ammunition. But a terrific calibre.
Yeah.
The other one we've got here, now I love this calibre, I think this is absolutely terrific. The 6.5 by 55 Swedish, although it's relatively new to the UK, it's been around a very long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's a military round by background, and hence the SE, which means Swedish. It's an incredibly effective bullet at penetrating, so it will break bones. Its basic structure was designed to punch through material.
Sure.
Whether that's whatever its range was being pointed at in the military terms. Now it's been developed more along the lines of hitting deer. The Swedish deer are by bigger nature, so you need something that's got quite a lot of power, but not huge.
And I think the Swedes used it on some fairly big game.
They have, yeah.
And that long, thin bullet, terrific penetration.
Yes, it just digs in hard. Yeah. And it's just really nice.
And any downsides?
Yeah, 2. In my eyes, 2. So the first being its trajectory. It comes across as quite a bit more of an arc in there.
Sure. And
so it's not as fast as the 243 or as flat. But what it does mean is that although it's got an arc in it, it does hit harder than the 243.
Okay. Well, it's carrying a heavier bullet.
It's carrying a heavier bullet, yes. So normally you'll find it in 140. But the other downside, not that it's not available, it's just that the gun shops won't always stock it.
Yeah.
So its availability is a little bit tighter.
So you may be struggling to find the ammunition, but I think maybe increasingly you find it, don't you? Because as it becomes more in demand, then so forth.
More in demand, and also what allows more is the bullet companies being more flexible and ordering smaller loads.
A great lowland calibre. A little bit to a bullet drop there though, isn't there? I think 4.4 inches at 200 yards with 100 yard zero.
Yeah.
So much less flat shooting than the 243 and some other calibres, but for my money, I think it's an absolute corker.
Yes, exactly. If you learn to shoot with that, you'll get on with pretty much anything.
Minimal recoil, minimal muzzle blast, fantastic. There's one other anomaly or a slightly unusual calibre that you're going to show us today. What is this?
Yes, it's this. Well, it comes by two names. So it's this, either the 6mm XC or the 6XC. It's by origins a target round, like the 6mm BR.
Of course.
Or as it's on your website, you mentioned about the 6mm BR.
Yeah, the BR again, a target shooting round. Yep. Absolutely true. Haven't had many people come in stalking with it. I've got to be honest.
I'm in the same books. I haven't seen many people with it.
Sure, but you think this one could do well?
Yes. The reason why is it's David Tubb. So he's an American NRA champion. I think 3 times. I'll have to double check that. But what he's developed is a 1,000-yard bullet that is very flat throughout its 1,000 yards.
Sure.
And because of that, hunters then suddenly realised that they could use it to push their 243 kind of bullets, their 243 bullets out further, and allow them to hit at the same range with the same accuracy.
So one we may see more of in the future.
Yes, it's a lot easier to load as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that, Freddie. Some great entry-level calibres for deer stalking in the UK. Okay, so we're coming up a notch a little bit now, and we're going with a little bit more energy. And in front of me here, I have the 308 Winchester and the 7x57. Now, the 7x57 is referred to by several different names. It's also called the 7x57 Spanish Mauser, and it's also called the .275 Rigby, or the 275 Rigby. That's correct, isn't it, Freddie?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Let's start with the 275 Rigby. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about that.
So, it's actually a German round. Well, there are many stories of where it was developed. We here at William say it's a 7x57 created by Mauser for the German army. When John Rigby brought it across this country, this country at that time hated the metric system. So we very much used the imperialistic system. So he transferred its name into the 275 Rigby, which is the imperialistic terms.
And I think I'm right in saying the Spanish link comes because the Spanish military adopted it, didn't they, in the late 1800s, and took it on as their weapon of choice.
They did, for quite a few years, if I remember correctly.
And also known by the Americans as Spanish because, of course, the war with the Spanish, I think 1892 or something, and got a fantastic reputation as far back as that, didn't it?
Yeah, and it's built upon itself over and over again. Its main builder in modern terms, not just in the army's terms, is Cameron Bell, who basically took it to the fore market of everyone. Everyone had a 275 to go to Africa. He coined the phrase. He coined the idea of shooting an elephant through a specific spot, which has become known as the Bell shot, right behind the ear. And that's where that calibre got its name. And
amazing, really, because whilst it sounds hugely impressive when you talk about shooting elephants and so on, in actual fact, the energy is only a little over 2,000 foot-pounds, isn't it?
It's almost a very weak bullet.
And pleasant to shoot.
Yes, very pleasant. It's as like the 243. It's a little bit longer in the casing. It's very much more gentle in the cone, which just makes it, when its recoil comes to you, it's very gentle to fire, and the muzzle flame flip on it, and muzzle flame is very small. Yeah,
personally, absolutely terrific around, and I think in the UK it's underexploited really, because you don't tend to get people coming. A popular calibre which is similar, perhaps a little bit more energy, but is much more popular, of course, is the 308.
Yeah, it's the 308. I think on everyone who goes stalking in Scotland knows the 308. It's the round to go shooting with in Scotland.
Yeah,
and it's. A lot of estates take it as their rifle. It's just so easy.
Developed by Winchester in 1952, and also a few years later taken on as a military round, but with a slight variation.
Slight variation in the casing, so you can't use military rounds in your normal rifle.
7.62 NATO, isn't
it?
Yeah,
that's it.
Absolutely true. We use this as our estate rifle, actually, county deer stalking. 150 grain ammunition, about 2,600 foot-pounds. With a 100-yard zero drop of about 3.9 inches, I think I'm saying. So not the flattest shooting round in the world. Got a little bit of a curved trajectory. Yep. What do you think? Suitable for all topographies?
Suitable for all topographies. The only time I think it doesn't suit itself is actually in closed woodland.
Okay.
It's because I just think it's just too fast for it, and it's too much of an arc in there.
Sure.
As most people know, closed woodlands, you get snap shooting.
But Freddie, I mean, what a huge variety of bullet weights you can use.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you can go up to 220 grains.
You can, yes. 200. Well, 220 in Europe you'll find it. Here in this UK you very rarely find it.
But I mean, if you're using that sort of bullet weight, then it's got plenty of punch if you are in woodland. I always tend to think of it more of the woodland round than a highland round, really.
I think this is where calibers always go wrong. Not wrong, but this is where it's so fun, is that everyone has a picture of a bullet somewhere in their own terrain. I find it as the hill.
But you're entirely right, because the huge variety of bullet weights. I think last time I was up at the Highlands on the Hinds, we were using with 120 grains, which of course caused it to be a little bit flatter and more appropriate for that sort of ground.
Yeah, exactly. The 308 covers pretty much any terrain you want to go, as long as you tweak it and re-zero your rifle.
For me, one of the best calibers in the UK.
Yes, definitely, and across the continent and America. I mean, if you go anywhere in the world, the one bullet you will find is the 308 Winchester.
Sure. Yeah.
Down all the way down to Australia.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Freddie. 2 absolutely terrific rounds, and well worth considering. Okay, so we're taking another step up, and it's quite a big step because we're dealing with 2 more calibers here. We have the 30-06 Springfield and the 270 Winchester. Another absolute couple of classic calibers, Freddie, I'm sure you agree.
Very much so.
Perhaps you'd like to start us off with the 30-06, where it all began.
Well, the 30-06 is the beginner of most big flat cartridges you can buy now. 36, 1906 created.
Hence the 06, a 30 cal 06.
Yeah. It's everyone thinks it's a completely different bullet. It's not. It's exactly the same head as the 308. The only difference is its casing is, well, I think it's a third longer, the casing. It comes in a vast variety of ranges of grain weights in the bullet. So it starts at 125. The most common, these are factory loads. So 125 all the way up to 220, which means you can take it right away over to Hungary and hit those big Hungarian bores.
It's massively popular in the States, of course, where it started. A little bit less so in the UK.
Yeah, it is a little bit less favourable in the UK. I think the majority is the same as the 270. It's because we were very slow to develop comfy rifles.
Sure.
And the 30-06 and the 270 have a hell of a muzzle flip. And
a fair bit more recoil as well.
Yeah, a fair bit more. I mean, you look at the length of the casings, they're about the same. That powder, when it goes off, it goes off. It hurts.
So you've got to ask yourself, because I mean, this is producing 2,900 foot-pounds.
Yeah.
A 308, 2,600. Is that extra muzzle flip, muzzle blast, and recoil worth that extra 300 foot-pounds? What do you think?
I definitely think it is. If you were in, where the 30-06 plays its best is in the valleys. The same with the 270. When you're in the glens up in Scotland, and you get those heavy crosswinds that where you are might have none, but as it passes across a gully, it just gets hit by a downward crosswind. Most calibers can't counteract that. The 270, the 2506, 36 are the 3 that can.
But you want to stick a moderator on it, don't you?
Yes, you definitely do.
And of course, the 270, so coming on to that, now this has evolved out of the 30-06, neck down.
Neck down.
Yeah, perhaps you can tell us a bit more about that.
The 270 is, it's no other name that a lot of people will know it as, is the Highland Round. It's became very, very popular mid-1950s and onwards to now. It's become a little bit less popular, very, very much so. I think it's because people they grew up with the 270 kick and they don't want to fire it again. The truth of it is, it's a very, very fast round that no matter what the wind's doing, what weather it will go
and with
through.
the right grain bullet, of course, both of these can be very flat shooting, can't they?
The 110 grain Norma VMAX.
110?
Yeah, 110, which is very light. If you hit a 200-yard stag with that, it won't run. It's got enough. It's going so fast. It's got enough energy to break the bones and still penetrate through to the chest and on to the other side. You can use even the basic round.
So really great for our larger species of deer.
Yes, very much so.
I mean, if you're out stalking for muntjac, it's a whole different matter, isn't it?
Yeah, I shot a roebuck. I didn't get much meat off it afterwards with the 270.
And this always amuses me. Sometimes people say, well, there's no such thing as overkill. But tell that to your butcher when you take the carcass along.
Yeah, I mean, you get half a carcass back. So what happens to the rest of it? Well, it'll mush.
Yeah, well, exactly. But 2 absolutely classic calibers.
Perfect calibers.
And really, with these type of calibers, then you're starting to look at taking these abroad for plains game.
You are stepping into the next, to that one grade up, where you're becoming able to go to continents and hit the big game.
For sure. 2 absolute classics again. The 270 Winchester and the 30-06 Springfield. Okay, so we're on to the big boys now, the Magnum cartridges. Now, bear in mind that if you're applying for a cartridge like this or a calibre like this in the UK, your firearms inquiries officer may be asking a few extra questions. Nonetheless, they do have a superb application. Personally, last time I used the 300 Win Mag was in Africa, and the last time I used the 7mm was for chamois in the Alps. So I don't tend to use these calibres much in the UK. What are your thoughts about them? Do they have a place?
They do have a place, but it's a very limited place. 7mm, it's a really hard one to justify. As we spoke to earlier, there is such a thing as overkill. The 7mm delivers such a heavy punch, far heavier than the 300, although they're about the same weight. It's almost, unless you can get perfect shot placement, or you've got someone who's not too good with it and you've got a moderator, then fine, you know you'll take the stag down, he won't run off. 300, a little bit more variable.
Little less energy than the 300 though, the 7mm.
Yes, yeah, but its deliverance is far better.
And of course the 7mm was developed with the 700 Remington rifles, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Again, it's been around for quite a long time.
It has been around for quite a long time. It's something I've got to be honest, this is sort of the area where, because they're not that popular here,
sure,
I haven't actually experienced them. I haven't experienced this one personally. That one I have, and 300 I love.
Well, I think they're both absolutely terrific calibres. I think whether you can justify them in the UK, I mean, we used this, in the actual fact, this cartridge exactly when we were up in Scotland, didn't we?
Yes, we did,
last October on the stags. Beautiful round, and you know, once you start translating that to Africa and abroad, very flat shooting, nearly 4,000 foot-pounds of energy. So when you compare that to a 308, which is 2,600, I mean, you can really see that this is up a step, isn't it?
Yes, it's definitely the last level before. It was the last level in the UK. You don't need to go any bigger, any higher than this one.
Yeah.
These two really. Magnums are they're a bit of a tricky subject.
Sure.
The police get nervous about them because they think. It's not they think. In real reality, you need a lot of backdrop or a heavy backdrop to really take that aftershot.
Yeah.
And there are areas in Scotland which don't have them. I mean, where we were, we did have good backdrop.
Sure.
We had very much open and continuous backdrops. But if you go to some other places towards the coast, you might be missing out on that backdrop, and it'd be hard to justify using such a heavy calibre.
But on the big beasts, I mean, if you look at like a large lowland red stag or something like that in rutting condition, I mean, you want a little bit of extra energy, don't you? But as you say, you know, this is a hugely flat shooting calibre, and it's going to keep on going, isn't it?
It does. If you shoot within 100, it will walk through. It will carry on afterwards.
Sure.
Even if you're using an expanding head, it's still got enough energy to go for another 100 yards without even blinking.
Yeah.
And the same with the 7mm. It will just punch. It punches bone as though it's not there.
Yeah.
And that's why people like, especially if you're going to Sweden or Norway and Scandinavia, to do moose, you take a 7mm or a 300. It's because it's got that power, that punch, just to.
And a very transferable calibre. So if you've got this in your gun cabinet and you are lucky enough to have it for the occasional use in the UK, you can take this abroad as well.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you had either one of those calibres, you are able to go to North America, to right up into Alaska, and also you're able to go to most parts on the continent, and especially in the Alps. The chamois on the Alps or the ibex out to Kazakhstan, 300 most people have, because it just carries that 800-yard shot. Two
absolutely devastating rounds. Whether they're appropriate for the UK or not, well, ask your firearms inquiries officer. Okay, so the big question. Freddie, taking into account all the rifle calibres that we've looked at here today, if you were going to have one rifle in your cabinet that was going to function properly across the UK for all the 6 species of deer that we've got, and in all the topographies, whether you're woodland stalking or highland stalking, it's a big ask, but tell me which one.
It's a very big ask. I'm a great one for calibre for purpose.
For sure.
But saying that, if I was to have one, it's a really hard one. Jason, Mr. Hornaday, I think it was either Steve or Jason, they recently talked about it. They said the 6.5 by 6.5 Creedmoor. Great wildcat, I wouldn't go for it myself. If I was had to go for one,
it's finding the bullets, isn't it? For some of these things, because you've got to think as well. You know, if you're running out of ammunition, you want to be able to go to your local gun shop. You want to know that they've got it in.
Yes, you have. Yeah, this is where I'm going to completely just turn that one on its head. if I was to have to do that for availability, I'd do the 308. But my favourite and one of the nicest ones I still enjoy is in the exact same category as we spoke of.
Yeah.
It's a 275. I think throughout terrains, it's a little bit more of a skilled bullet to use. It's very much more of a bullet that you get used to and you learn. And
it's an unusual choice, Freddie.
Yes, it's very unusual.
It's a beautiful calibre, but in the UK, it's just less popular.
Yeah, it's very much less popular.
But unjustly so.
Yeah, I know. It's something that a lot of people I wish would go into it, but at the moment, it's got coming back into resurgence. It is being loved, and it is definitely the one I would choose myself. But the thing is, you have to stalk harder. Up in Scotland, you'd have to get closer. You have to take certain closer ranges. Whereas, you know, the 308, you don't have to do that. But 25.
Personally, everyone will yawn at this, I'm sure, but it's the 308 for me.
Huge
diversity of bullet weights that you can use. Very appropriate from everything from muntjac all the way up to red stags.
Yes, it's, as you say, it's got everything.
You realise everyone's going to be jeering at us, aren't they? And everyone's going to be going. Everyone has their own subjective opinion on these things, and the main thing is that all of these calibres are designed to do the job, provided you get your shot placement right, and that is, of course, what it's all about. So that's it from William Evans. If we failed to mention your calibre of choice, then why not let us know your favourite calibre for deer stalking? Just email info@countydeerstalking.co.uk and we'll add your opinion to our What's Your Favourite Calibre page. Alternatively, if you'd like to learn more about rifle calibres, then visit our rifle calibres page under knowledge at www.countydeerstalking.co.uk.